Since the peak of $47 3 weeks ago, Supermicro is now pulling back and has pulled back for the last 2 weeks, presenting a possible future entry and a trading opportunity for this stock. There's potentially 156% on offer for a trade with Supermicro. So in this video, I want to talk about this opportunity and also discuss some trading rules which might get you into the trade at a good price. Let's check it out. Now, if you're new to trading and you're looking for an effective, simple strategy to trade stocks for a profit, check out my short course on my website. Go to davidblewett.com/6-step strategy and check out my trading short course. For June, I've got a special offer, 20% off that course with the code June20. Check it out in the description below. So SMCI is in a long-term uptrend. It's been trending up since October 2018. Now, if we zoom in on the weekly chart, we can see that since this price peak of around about $123 in March 2024, SMCI did trend downwards into this price trough here at around $17. And since then, it seems to have found support and is now trending upwards. And you can see the price is moving up, creating these higher peaks and lower troughs. And the trend line does suggest that this price action is going to continue. Now, since the price peak created in February 2025 at around about $66, price has trended back down and found support at this trend line. It pushed off, and 3 weeks ago it did create this most recent peak of around about $47. Now, in the last 2 weeks, SMCI has pulled back, creating this price action here. Now, for the trend to continue and for a possible trading entry, what we need to see is for price action to take out this peak here of $47. We need the buyers to come back in, overpower the sellers, and take the price beyond this peak here to confirm the price action is going to keep moving up. Now, before I explain the trading opportunity here and some possible entry rules, I want to mark up some key price levels to understand where SMCI is trading right now in relation to its historical price action. So you can see you've already marked up $123, which corresponds to SMCI's all-time high from the peak that was created back in March 2024. We can see we've got a significant low here that was created in November 2024, around about $17. So I'm going to mark that up. Now, in between these two key levels, we've got a price level here of this recent peak in February 2025. So let's mark that one up. Underneath this peak of $66, we've also got a level around about $48. We can see price came from this support area here, traded up and found resistance around this area here, and also most recently, the most recent peak was also around $48. So I'm going to mark that up as well. And another level I want to mark up is this point back here in August 2023. You can see that it met resistance here and then fell away before moving sideways. So that's something to consider for the future. That's about $35. So with these levels now on the chart of SMCI, we can see that price is trading between this level of $35 and underneath this level of $48. So the most recent price action shows that price created this peak and found resistance at 48. And the last 2 weeks it has fallen away with some selling pressure. It does, however, look as if there's a little bit of support around this level here, the bottom of these two weekly bars, around about $38. Now, if we look at the daily chart, we can see that that $38 level is a real level. You can see the peak here on this daily bar on 13th of May created a price peak of $39.10. Now, since that peak, price moved up. It did gap up, finding resistance at $48. It fell away And then it's been 2 days, so this day here, 23rd of May, and also the 30th of May, where price fell, and the low was corresponding with this level here, this peak here. There seems to be some support around this $38 level. So let's mark that. And I put that one in dashed line just so I know that that line is on the daily chart, not the weekly, so it's not as strong. So right now, SMCI looks as if it's pulling back and finding short-term support around about this level here of $39. So the obvious trade entry would be a Dow theory entry where price needs to now rise up and take out this high here. Remember, in the overall trend, we've got higher highs and higher lows. So we've definitely got a medium-term trend emerging, which corresponds with the longer-term trend. So we should expect price to keep moving up based on the price action. Now, could we get another red bar next week? Yeah, that's possible. Price may fall a bit further. The obvious level where it might fall into is this key level here of around $35. And that might correspond with this trend line. So we could see a couple of weeks down and price falling into this level here around about this zone here, potentially moving downwards towards the end of June before moving back up. That's definitely possible. So effectively, we're going to see price action like this. So if price continues to fall, it might keep going until it hits that sort of $35 zone before moving back up. That's one possible scenario if the next 2 to 4 weeks are bearish for SMCI. We should expect it to find support around about $35 if it respects the trend line and if the trend is going to continue. Based on the current price action, that is more likely. The trend should continue. However, for my more bullish scenario, price could find support exactly where it is now at that $39 level. That is quite possible. And if it finds support at $39 and moves up from here, we're going to get price action something like this. So we might get another inside bar next week, or perhaps it'll move up from here, finding support at $39, challenging this level here, 48, and then moving up to challenge the most previous peak here of $66. This is quite likely too. And you can see on screen, I do have both the lower trend line marked up here, and I've got this upper trend line running over these two peaks here, suggesting that SMCI is trading within this channel at the moment as it's trending upwards. So if SMCI continues to move upwards and trade within this emerging channel, then the price action is likely to stick within it. Effectively, the price is doing this. So you can see inside the channel, it is bouncing between the lower support level and the upper resistance level. So if this continues, then the next movement upwards, could be towards this $88 level over the next 6 to 8 weeks, if it's very bullish. If it's not, it might take a bit longer. It might come back and find support around here and then move up from this direction here. However, any way you look at the chart, it does look as if SMCI is looking bullish, and it is trending upwards at the moment inside this channel. And that suggests that each time it moves up, it's going to create higher highs and higher lows, creating higher prices. So the price action is looking good, SMCI is trending up, and there's definitely a trading opportunity. So where could be the best price to actually enter this stock for a good upside potential? Let's take a look. So you can see the most recent peak for SMCI is the peak of this bar here, created in the week of 12th of May. And that price peak is 47.80. So this is the price that SMCI needs to trade above to trigger a Dow theory entry. Essentially, we want price action to do this. It needs to find support here, either at $39 or perhaps at this point here around 35. That would be the test. And then after the selling has run out and buyers come back in, for the buyers to confirm they're in control and they're willing to take the price higher, we need the price then to move back up and take out this level here. So the price needs to exceed this price peak here of 47.80. So effectively, you could have a rule where you would enter the stock once the price goes above 47.80. You could set a limit order and say, look, I want to enter the stock with the broker 1 cent above that level. So your entry would be 47.81 exactly. And then once it breaks through this level, triggering your entry, there's a high probability that the price will push up to this level here of $66, which corresponds to this peak here. And beyond then, we've got the next level up, which is going to be this level of the all-time high of 122. Now, it might find resistance at these levels here. You can see here, as price traded down from the all-time high, it did find support here and move back up to these levels here before falling away once again. So we might find on the move upwards that once again, there's a little bit of resistance here around at this level of $102. And also it does correspond with that round psychological number of $100, which sometimes can cause support or resistance either way. So if you were to take this trade and enter on Dow theory, with your entry being above this key price level here, you set an initial 15% stop loss and you set your take profit target at this first level here of $66. So you'd have an upside potential of 39%. And with that stop loss, you would have a risk to reward ratio of 2.55, which is perfectly acceptable. So that would be the trading opportunity using Dow theory. And after price moves up and possibly breaks this level, the next level up potentially for resistance would be around about $100. That would give you 110% upside. Risk reward 7.34. And if it keeps going to the all-time high, that next level of resistance is going to be 122. So that's an upside of 156 and a risk reward of 10.27. So this is setting up nicely for a highly profitable trade with relatively low risk. Now, another option to enter this trade is to use a counter trend entry. So with this style, it's a bit more aggressive, but would get you in early to the trade. So instead of waiting for price to take out this peak here, you would enter after price takes out this peak here of the most recent down bar. So this gets you in earlier, but it's a bit more aggressive and carries more risk. So entry would be here around $44. So in effect, you want price to do this. From the peak, come back and test this level here, test $39. So hopefully it holds above this week. And then if this week is a green bar and price reverses and takes out this level here, you can enter once price takes out this high here of $44. So this would get you in a little bit earlier than this peak over here. Carries more risk, but gets you in earlier. And one of the reasons why it carries more risk is because if you enter here above this level, it obviously hasn't got through this key level here, $48. So you might find you enter and then obviously it runs out of steam and falls away from here. So two options, Dow theory entering above here and a counter trend entry entering above here. So with the counter trend entry getting you in earlier, there's obviously more profit available targeting the aforementioned levels. So entering here at $44, you can put your stop loss at the bottom of these two bars here, which is around about 11.3%. And then of course, the first target is going to be this level here of $66, which gives you a 51% upside. If it breaks through there and targets 100, you're going to be up around 130%. And if it keeps going and the trade unfolds up until the all-time high, you'd have a potential of nearly 180%. So you can see the counter trend entry gets you in earlier, does allow you to take more profit, but also carries more risk. So that's going to come down to your trading style, whether you want to go with the Dow theory or a counter trend theory. It's obviously up to you. I think both entries offer great upside potential. I think in this scenario, because there's so much available, future profit, Dow theory is probably, the way to go, but it's up to you. If you found value in my analysis of SMCI, please subscribe to the channel to help me out. Thanks for watching. See you next time.